Are we live? Awesome, we are live. What up, people? Welcome. All right, Friday. Time for a live stream again. Always a lot of fun. So I got some projects here that I'm going to work on. Here you can see you've got all of these different, you might be able to recognize the different videos I've been putting out on Instagram and YouTube. All of these different like emotional like little hacks, these chord combos. And then over here, I'm starting to work more on kind of like the intervals kind of side of things. And coming up with different intervals and examples of different emotional settings and all that stuff. It's been a lot of fun for me. Youthomania, welcome, my friend, welcome. All right, so as we work on this, there is an announcement I have. I'm excited about it, actually. I'm quite excited about it. And a lot of you probably already know what it is, but I figured we'd kind of make a little soft launch today anyway. And then I'm just going to kind of keep working on stuff that I have in front of me, unless people have questions. So as you know, if you have questions, ideas, comments, requests, pop them in the comments. I'd be happy to address them. But let's make the first announcement. So many of you know that I have a website, and on the website, I have something called the Academy. The Academy consists of free classes. A free class on functional harmony and how to use chord progressions, free class on writing melodies and longer structured pieces of music, and 2 courses on orchestration. These are 100% free, no paywall. There's a little spot to make donations if you want to donate, but you just click read more. You can sign up and you see it's free. Zero money, you sign up, all the videos, all the articles, all the recommended exercises. These are 100% free classes, and the reason why I have this free academy is because in 2021, there's a little about page here, I had to drop out of music school. I had been studying for a very brief period of time, and I got accepted into my dream school. Hey, Epic Fish, welcome, my friend. But I couldn't afford tuition. I couldn't afford any of it, and no one at the school seemed interested in helping me. I remember, because specifically when I was supposed to transition from studying online to studying in person, I had been told very specifically that tuition cost one thing, and then when it came time to make my first payment, it turns out it did not cost that. It cost 3 times the amount I had been quoted. And I won't go into details, but there's a whole big thing, and for me, it felt like my dream was crumbling all around me. I felt like I had worked my butt off to get accepted into my dream school. I felt like things were finally going to start moving for me. And they didn't. Instead, the chair got pulled out from under me, and I felt like my dream was crumbling before it even started. Fortunately, that wasn't the end of the story, as all y'all know. I now get to work full-time as a composer. I get to work full-time with music. I get to work with students all over the world, and through passion projects like this, like the Academy class, to my free ebook that I have, I'm trying to get past that paywall for people. Because, like I said, Berkeley, USC Thornton, Juilliard, NYU, all of these schools, it's 10 grand a month to do music school. That's ridiculous. So that's why I have all these free classes. They are high quality. I have helped over 1,000 composers have taken these classes and studied and learned from them. It's one of my favorite things I did, and I keep getting requests to make more classes. And so that's what the announcement is. I want to make 3 more classes. I want to make a class on mixing. I want to make a class on reading and writing music notation. And I want to make a class about creating realistic MIDI mockups and like production. Down the line, I have even more classes where I want to do one about like synths. I want to do one about like spotting and working with directors. I want to do classes. I want to do more advanced courses on non-functional harmony, things like negative harmony, Neo-Romanian theory, all that really cool stuff. I want to eventually make my course on emotions and music free, but that's way down the line. I have to make sure that I can financially take care of myself. The problem is it takes a very long time to make these classes. Hence the announcement. I'm currently running, thank you to everyone who's donated so far. I am running a fundraiser. All right, to make these courses. Intro to mixing, reading and writing music notation, and creating realistic MIDI mockups. Each of these courses, it takes about a month to make each of these courses. And because this is work that I don't get paid for. I've been doing this since like 2023. So if you go back to like the Academy page, I've had these 4 free classes. Over 1,500 students have taken these classes. There's a donation thing, and I've made like maybe $7 in donations, which isn't, that's not me like kicking down. It's like these are supposed to be free. This is not meant to be a moneymaker for me. But that being said, so when I make these classes, this is not something I'm going to be making any money off of. This is not something where it's going to be like a future earner for me. And it's going to take about a month to make each class. So 3 months total dedicated to making these classes. And so to help make sure I can actually do that financially and still pay my student loans, still pay my bills and stuff, I'm trying to raise enough money to cover my living expenses monthly for each class. So it takes about $3,000 for just like break even on my monthly expenses between bills, utilities, rent, student loans, groceries, stuff like that. The cost of living for you boys about $3,000. And so for each $3,000 I raise, that's another class I'm going to be able to make. And the classes are, again, going to be completely free. So there are recommended donation tiers with each different prizes, but there's also just an area where you can just enter a custom donation. If you only got like $2 or $3 that you can get, that's wonderful. Thank you. But the cool thing is once these classes are made, they are 100% free. Hey, 23, welcome. Blank Void, improvisation. That's a good point. I'm not much of a performer. I can perform. I played trumpet through college. I can play enough guitar and piano to get by. I'm not very much a performer. One thing I do want to do is you'll see on the Academy page, there's a spot like learn more. There's like different phases. I am currently trying to get into phase 2. Phase 2 is where I'm going to start making like brand new material for the courses. And eventually phase 3 is when I want to start getting some more outside educators. So like that would be the idea where like phase 3, I would love to like have my model for teaching. And I'd have a very specific model for like how I teach, the way I share my information, because you guys like my teaching method. I like to make sure I have that available in a way I can teach it to other people. I'd like to bring in other people who are more experienced than me in things like performance and improvisation, stuff like that. Bring in outside instructors who can provide free resources. Again, the goal is like ultimately, my dream would be if this eventually went from just being a simple like 4 little free classes that I put together and host on my website. It'd be really cool to turn this into an actual accredited institution. But like turn the Tabletop Academy into I'll probably have to rename it, but like the Tabletop Academy turn it into an actual like music school, like an actual conservatory or school. Again, free tuition is the goal. But that's way down the line. Right now, I have 4 classes. I've had 1,500 students take these. People seem to love them. And I'm just trying to raise money to add 3 more classes. Intro to mixing, reading and writing music notation, and creating realistic MIDI mockups. So again, the average cost of tuition and room and board for music school is $10,000 a month. I am asking for just trying to raise $9,000 to cover 3 months worth of expenses for me while I dedicate myself to making these classes. So that's the goal. Whatever we can raise is wonderful. Thank you. Please consider becoming a donor. Like I said, there's these tiers. There is this custom donation where if you just got $3, $5, $1 that you want to throw my way, every little bit helps. And like I said, let's try to get these 3 classes up. And again, all of these courses are 100% free. The Academy is my passion project. This is something where I do not charge for any of the Academy classes. I do not plan to ever charge for Academy classes. Like I said, for that moment in my life where I felt like my dream was collapsing around me because a music school had like bled me dry. They'd sucked all the money I had out of me. They'd taken all my savings. And then when I had nothing left, they just had zero interest in helping me. I remember sending a bunch of emails documenting like I was promised that tuition cost this much. I have it in writing that this was tuition. I need help. They had like an emergency fund for students who had like emergencies. And their response was, oh, well, this isn't an emergency. And so I was like, okay, I'm dropping out. But so I do have a chip on my shoulder about music schools. The Academy is kind of my answer to that, where it's structured, more structured than YouTube. Like it goes step by step. It's structured like an online class. I have a lot of experience teaching. I used to teach at the University of Michigan for a number of years. Obviously I do YouTube, I do private lessons and stuff. So it's a very structured, high quality education. And I'm just trying to raise a bit more money so we can continue adding to the Academy and get 3 new classes. So that's the big announcement. If you guys got questions, let me know. You got questions about like why it's $3,000 per class that I'm trying to raise. You got questions about like what the course would entail. If you got questions about the tiers, questions about like my vision for the Academy, let me know. But regardless for that, that's enough of my soapbox advertisements, announcements. I imagine I'll probably bring it up later. I have my energy drink. I have an open DAW in front of me, and I've got some lovely chats. Let's see what you guys want to do today. 23, happy Detroit time. Yes, happy Detroit time. Good to see you, 23. I think you are my most dedicated subscriber, 23. I cannot remember a stream in recent history, like recent memory, that you weren't on stream. So thank you very much. Seamus, thank you for all you do. I'm so grateful for your knowledge. I absolutely donate, and I'll absolutely donate and help you out. Your book on emotions is on my wish list. Thank you so much, Seamus. I really appreciate it. Thank you. That means a lot. I'm so glad that my resources are helpful. I'm so glad that you're able to help with the donation. Thank you. One thing I should mention. One thing I'm going to mention. There is. All right. So on the it's my website, education. You can find Academy. You know what? I'm actually going to share the link in the comments. Link to donate. All right. So I'm going to make that. I'm going to pin it. This progress bar. We have had a couple donations. All right. This progress bar, your boy is not a programmer. I tried using like Wix and like a bunch of tutorials. It's supposed to update whenever there's a donation. So there should be a little color here showing that we've made progress. It's not working. I don't know how to make it work. So every day I'm basically going to go in like in the morning. I'm going to go into Canva. I'm just going to make an updated one. I'm just going to manually put it in as an image. So forgive me for that. I tried being trendy. I tried being like fancy or whatnot, but I'll add, since the code obviously isn't working, I'll just put in I'll put in a manual thing so you guys can see that. Sudhanva, welcome Sudhanva. Blank Void, yeah, an alternative to 21st century music theory website. Oh, what's the 21st century music theory website? Never heard of them. But yeah, my plan is, hopefully, like I said, my goal is my dream. Okay, this is, I've always been a big dreamer, all right? So I'm just going to put it out there, because you can never, the only chance you have of succeeding at your dream is to actually acknowledge it. So I'm going to acknowledge one of my biggest dreams right now. My biggest dream with this academy, which has been around since 2023, is if I could secure the funding, if I could just find like a couple wealthy donors who would support me on doing this, my dream would be eventually build this into a huge, just an actual college, a collegiate level program that got so much recognition that it forced other colleges to start dropping their tuition. Like, if I could get the Tabletop Music Academy to be on par with Juilliard and like Berkeley and USC Thornton and NYU and all those amazing programs out there, to the point where people could say, you know what? I want to have like the free version, but I would love to have an accredited version where people could apply. It's like, and if it became to the point where this school was just high enough caliber that people are like, why would I bother going to Berkeley when the networking possibilities, the education possibilities, everything available on this academy, this school, is on par and it's free. My dream goal is having two versions. One would be like the online free version here, where anyone can apply. There's no application process. You can just take the classes and you can learn. My second dream would be to have a brick and mortar location here in Michigan, preferably Traverse City, Michigan is my goal, and I'll explain why. Where it would be something like the Curtis Institute of Music, where it would be you'd have to apply, it'd have to be a very rigorous application, but if you got accepted, it would be 100% free. Free room and board, free education, free everything. So that we could take musicians from all over the world, all different backgrounds, all different, because again, I'm someone who could not afford music school. If I were not who I am, and I did not have that like chip on my shoulder, and I did not have that drive to freaking fight, and to like go through the times where I slept on a yoga mat for 3 months straight. I don't think I ever told any of all that. There's a period of time where you can see some of my videos where some of the background, very specific. If you go back, and it's the background with the wooden bookshelf, not the red bookshelf, but if you go back, there's like a 3-month period of time where I had like a wooden bookshelf in my backdrop. That office was my bedroom. I slept on the floor on a yoga mat for 3 months in that office, building my dream up. So I'm a very intense person when it comes to pursuing my goals. And if I wasn't that kind of person, there's no way I would be doing music, because I don't have the financial background to afford music school. So I want to try, and I'm also the kind of person where just because I knocked walls down for myself, that's not enough. I don't want the walls to stand for anyone. I don't want those walls being around for anyone. There should not be. I genuinely believe we are on the cusp of a golden age of music. All right, it has never been easier. Look at this. It has never been easier to write for orchestra. I don't need an orchestra to write cool ideas. Through programs like MuseScore, Museo and MuseScore, these libraries, $10 for professional grade libraries. MuseScore being free professional grade notation software. Everything. It's never been easier. It's never been more accessible to write for the orchestra. The last wall to crumble is education. And where is it? I had like a video where I did this. Where is the video? There's a freeze frame where I actually looked it up. Let me see here. Here we go. This is my Instagram. Music cost up. There we go. There it is. Flattering. Berkeley, $9,000. $9,131 per month. That's not semester. That's month. Multiply that by 4. That's how much it is for a semester. Juilliard, $10,045 per month. USC Thornton, $9,897 per month. These music schools are ridiculous. And so that's my kind of goal, is to push back a little bit with this. So again, long term, I would love to have a brick and mortar institute, build an institution like the Curtis Institute out in Philadelphia, where it's free tuition, highly competitive to get in, but free tuition, with the free version online for anyone, where you don't even have to apply. You can just sign up for the classes the way you can right now. And the reason why I want Traverse City, Michigan specifically. All right, so this is, again, a little bit of like the vindictive streak in me, or like the idea of like this sense of like kind of justice. My family, not me, but the generation just before me. So my mom's generation, they were migrant workers in the cherry fields in Traverse City. You can still go to the farms. Like, I can still go visit the farms that my mom worked at as a child. And there's a tremendous amount of pride in my family about the work and the background we come from, the amount of work we did, the effort we put in, and the opportunities that have been provided to us by our amazing country. But there's that sense of justice where my mom worked as a migrant worker, sleeping in a small shack in Traverse City, Michigan. I would love for that to be where I go back and I open up the school for music that helps just open the doors for people. And that, plus Traverse City, Michigan is a very beautiful area. It's right on the bay, and it does have an international airport in Traverse City. So that would open up traveling opportunities for students as well to come in and actually go to school there. So that's the huge, probably never going to happen dream. But in the meantime, I'm starting off, because I believe that everything needs to start somewhere. I've started with this academy. This academy, 100% free classes. Like I said, 1,500 students have signed up to take these courses so far. And I'm trying to raise money to fund the next 3. Introduction to mixing, reading and writing music notation, and realistic MIDI mockups. First, these are the 3 that I keep getting asked to do. A lot of people want to know more about mixing. I am by no means an expert. I'm not an engineer, but I am a professional composer. I've had to learn how to mix at a level that works well professionally. Reading and writing music notation, people keep asking for this, for specifically working with live musicians. The ability to make sure that your music can be read and performed by live musicians. And then, of course, creating realistic MIDI mockups, which is just a necessity. The ability to take, and as one of my students so aptly put it, to make your performances sound less digital, to make them sound more expressive and musical. So these are the goals. These are the 3 topics I keep getting asked for. The tricky part is just, like I said, I don't get paid to make these classes. These classes are 100% a passion project. It takes about 1 month each. So the $3,000 per class marker, that's to pay my living expenses. That's to help pay for my bills, my student loan payments, my rent, my groceries, all that stuff per month. Just to make sure that I can at least make sure, like, all right, my bills are taken care of while I work on this class that's not going to actually make me any money. So there are recommended tiers, just free, and like whatever custom donations you can, all this information. The link to donate has been pinned in the comments. Now, let's get back to it. Let's see. That's pathetic how they responded to you, how they responded to you. I love what you do. Thank you. I also agree. The only person who seemed to want to help me at all was my academic advisor. My professors were wonderful and stuff. But no, yeah, the fact that the school screwed me over, that they quoted me. I remember I told them like, hey, I got this much financial aid. Can I like afford the tuition to transfer to like the actual school? They're like, oh yeah, that's exactly how much money you need. Pay the down payment. All right, I paid the down payment, got my classes picked out an apartment out in Boston. I was getting ready to move out there, and then I got the bill. I was like, what? Then they're like, oh, well, we misquoted you. We made a mistake. Whatever. And then yeah. So, anywho. 23, I need a lesson on writing a film noir style detective song. That's the theme for the next Ryan Leach challenge. That'll be fun. We've had, someone did that for when I was doing some competitions. Someone did film noir. That's a lot of fun. Just kind of the jazzier stuff. I am no expert on film noir, but if you want to learn composer, look up template. Tabletop composer templates. Which video is it? Or maybe we see study. There's gonna be film music. I know what video I'm looking for. This one right here, the easiest way to study film music. This right here, this video will help you build your own template just by listening to a couple pieces with the style you want to write. So that's what I would recommend, 23. This video right here, the easiest way to study film music, no sheet music required. This video, it's less than 10 minutes long. Watch it and you'll have everything you need to create a template to teach yourself how to write that style. I can ask questions about composing. Sudhanva, question, why would you not do a private group class like your current string class? So what do you mean? I don't remember saying I wouldn't do that. Sudhanva, you're part of my current private class. I would do private classes. I couldn't do it for free just because you boys gotta eat. And I already do so many things for free. But yeah, I never said I wouldn't do a private class, group class. Epic Fish. Can I ask a question about composing? Of course, yeah, it's a live stream. Pop in your questions. Would you do another group classes for fundraising too, like your current string class? So would I do it? That's something I wouldn't be opposed to. That would be something where like, yeah, if you had a specific price that you wanted to pay, you're like, hey, I'll give you X amount of money. I'd say like, all right, based off that much money, I could give you and your friends a lesson about like for X amount. But for the trick with the fundraising specifically is to create those free classes. Seamus, thank you so much for donating. I appreciate you. Best of luck with your goals. I appreciate you. Thank you. Sudhanva, would really love to see you achieve your goal and pursue your dreams. Thank you. I would too. Because again, I love teaching. I would love, like I said, my dream is to make a completely like fully accredited free music school. Because I genuinely think we're on the cusp of a new golden age of instrumental music. The last wall to fall is just that music education. All the resources. It's never been easier to write instrumental music for the orchestra. Never. But the knowledge on how to do it and how to write music that actually works well and can be performed, that, like I said, 10 grand a month to learn that stuff. It's just ridiculous. So I'm trying to do my part to kind of take down those walls. Goobermeister, I think it's beautiful you've been through all these hardships and still compose, but not only that, want to help others compose for free. Thank you. That's I don't know why. My family has always been the type where it's like you go and you slay your giants and you turn around and you help the next person behind you. There's a book called The Dream Giver, and it's like a modern parable. My mom read this to me when I was a little kid for like bedtime story. It's called The Dream Giver, and there's a story where the main character is given a dream. And the dream is like a quest, and he has to go after his quest. And as he's going on his quest, he keeps being warned, like, there are giants. There are going to be giants ahead of you, and they're dangerous, and they're going to try and kill you. There are giants. And as far as he goes, he keeps going, and there's no giants. He keeps running into it. There are no giants. He keeps going closer, pursuing his dream, pursuing the adventure, the journey he's been put on, and he never runs into a giant. Until one day, he runs into a young woman who's dressed in armor, and she's grievously injured. And he realizes, oh my gosh, I gotta try and help her. So he tries to help her, but he can't, and she ends up dying. And it's this moment of realization when he realizes that she had also been given the same dream, that she had also had the same journey. And it's a moment of realization where he's like, oh my goodness, the whole reason why I've been following this path and haven't run into any giants is because this young woman was ahead of me and she was killing the giants ahead of me. But now she finally passed. She went as far as she could go. And he's got this moment of realization, like, now it's my turn. He's like, moving forward along the same path, there are going to be giants. And it is my responsibility to slay as many of them as I can so that maybe I'll reach my goal. Maybe I won't. But the person behind me, they will be able to go farther than I did. And that was just been a very transformative lesson to me, hearing that story growing up. It's been something that I've followed every inch of the way with my music goal. Every time I felt like giving up, I've thought about like different family members, different friends, different people I know, you guys, the people I know on YouTube, that my regulars, or the people that just stop by to just see what I'm about. Understanding that every video I make, every resource I provide, every lesson I learn and share is something that you don't have to fight for. You don't have to struggle for. Every struggle I live through is worth it. Every hardship I endure is worth it if I can share the things I learn. If I can clear the path, because maybe I won't. Maybe I won't reach my goal. Maybe we won't raise enough money, and I'll just end up having to put the classes together for free, and it'll take longer. Maybe I won't make the school. Maybe I'll never have win the Tony or the Oscar. I'll never go off and make huge waves with my music. But I get to know that the knowledge that I've done enough to help other people. I've met people on this channel who are way more successful than me as composers. Like, I love what I do. I'm a professional composer. I get to say that with pride. There are people who make money hand over fist as composers that I don't know if I will ever make that kind of money. But the coolest thing is I meet them. They're amazing people, and they tell me how they got started with my lessons. There's a composer, Rimsky-Korsakov, one of the great Russian composers from the Romantic era, whom I identify with on a primal level because he was self-taught. He was self-taught, and then from his self-taught levels, he became a teacher. And yeah, we remember a couple of his pieces. He's not one of the most famous, most well-adored composers in the modern repertoire. We've got a couple pieces, like Scheherazade is a beautiful piece that he wrote. There are a handful of pieces that he wrote. But the cool thing is almost every major composer since him traces their lineage back to his lessons. That Stravinsky, Rachmaninoff, all these massive names that have come since him all trace their lessons, all trace their knowledge, their skill back to his lessons along some path. Of whether they were directly a student of his, or they were a student of his student, or they were a student of that student's student. Whatever it is, it's all a lineage. So that's the mission I feel. I love writing music. I love putting this stuff out here. But my favorite part is sharing the knowledge I learned. I love learning. I love geeking out about this stuff. And if I feel like if I can somehow influence the next generation of composers, if somewhere along the line there can be new music that people love, that exists because I helped inspire, or I helped tear down walls that would have prevented that music from being written, I feel like I can die a completely fulfilled human being. Hopefully not for a long time. Hopefully I have a very long life. That's fingers crossed, prayers said, whatever. But the idea I don't believe personally to be fulfilled, I don't need to become a famous composer like John Williams or Hans Zimmer. That would be amazing, but I don't have to. My level of fulfillment is in knowing that there is music out there that people love, that people resonate with, that was made possible because I did my part, because I took down different obstacles, because I slayed the giants, because I helped clear the path for other musicians to follow after me. So yeah, that's why I do this. That's why I love this, all that kind of stuff. I'm getting off track. Let's see here. So I meant to raise funds. So yeah, I could do classes. I could probably do classes. The funds are separate so the reason why I might try that in the future if this doesn't work, the reason why I haven't done the classes are a tremendous amount of work. So like teaching, so you're asking why I don't teach classes like with private lessons. I do that to make ends meet. And so yeah, that's the way I make money. So how do I put this? If I don't raise the money to make these classes, at the very least, out of respect for everyone who has already donated, I will still make the intro to mixing class. It won't come out for a long time because I have to make the money to pay my bills one way or another. That's going to be mostly through private lessons and stuff like that. But the donations I'm trying to make is because the classes, that'd be something I could do. I'd probably sell more like group classes and stuff like that. But the fundraising is a method I'm trying to take because there are tiers. There are things that you get in return. I want to see if we can crowdfund these classes, just because if this would be the way where I could put out these classes the quickest. is if I have my bills taken care of for 3 months, to work on, like, dedicate a month to each of these 3 classes. That's what I would ideally like to do. But yeah, like I said, if the fundraising doesn't work, if it turns out that we just don't have the resources in this community or whatever, for whatever reason, we aren't able to raise the money to do the courses, like I said, out of respect for everyone who's already donated and like participated in trying this vision, the first class, Intro to Mixing, I'm going to make it. One way or another, I will make this class and it will be free. It's just whether or not I'm able to have this. The goal would be to start working on the courses, if the fundraiser is successful, to start working on the courses November 1st. So then the goal would be to have this class ready by December 1st, this class ready by January, and then this class ready by February. If I don't raise the money to help make sure my bills are paid, so where I have to still kind of hustle, I still have to do like my, I still have to work on soundtracks, still have to work on teaching private lessons and all, selling my books and all that stuff, then I have to focus on those other things. It's going to take more time, and so it's probably just going to take a while to get the class out. But yeah. Euthymania. Karaskow is still considered one of the best orchestrators, or oh, you mean Korsakov is still considered one of the best orchestrators in classical canon, but maybe because of his book. Very true, yes. Rimsky-Korsakov is a fantastic. In fact, do I have it here? I believe I have his book. If I do, it's probably not. I believe I have it, but no, I don't think it's on my bookshelf. Let's see here. All right. So that's enough of that. Let's get to work, shall we? Let's start working on some intervals. Anyone actually, because I'm kind of like, I don't want to work. And this is work. This is for making videos. Anyone got questions? Any music theory stuff? What do you guys want to work on? While we work on that, we can actually kind of, let's see here. Oh, did I not save something? Let's try to make some chord progressions. So let's see here. Goobermeister, how do you write a string quartet? Wonderful, awesome, perfect question. String quartets. All right, consist of a violin 1, a violin 2, a viola, and a cello. All right. The idea of writing a string quartet, there's not really a lot that you need to like. In fact, I actually have a lesson plan for this. Because as Sudan Va mentioned, I do have a course that I'm currently teaching specifically about composing for strings. So it was a group class. We've got 5 students who are involved in it. We meet weekly, and the topic has been writing for strings. In these final couple of weeks, we've just kind of been like exploring general topics as people work on the thing. So here's the lesson plan from that topic. The main thing is like there's nothing really special about writing for string quartet than writing for larger string ensembles. Yeah, there's gonna be some pushback about that. There are some differences. So like divisi is not possible when you only have one violin, one player. You can't exactly split the part across multiple people. When it comes to writing for string quartets, there are just generally some tips. All right. Tip number 1. The melody can and should move around to different voices. In fact, I'm going to put this over here so we can get exactly right. So instrumentation. Tips for writing quartets. Tip number 1. The melody can and should move around to different voices. You should not just always have the violin 1 playing the melody. The biggest thing to remember in string quartets is the number of instruments is limited. Obviously. You only have 4 individual players and only 3 unique instruments. So the variety has to come, you have to be creative. Whereas working with an orchestra, you could say like, all right, I can get variety through like flutes, and now it goes to the trumpets, now to the piano, now to the strings. You can go all over the place. You have to be more creative with your techniques. You can say, all right, we've got violin 1 is playing normal arco. Then the melody jumps over to the viola in the next phrase, and it's being played pizzicato, plucked. Then we're jumping to violin 1 again, and it's being played sul tasto, bowing closer to the string. Like just creating that variety through different playing techniques. All right. Tip number 2. Just because you have 4 voices does not mean you need to use all 4 voices all the time. Only use what you need. So if introducing a solo violin on your melody with just a little viola on like a little harmonic voice, if that's all you need to get your point across, it's good. That's all you should do. All right. That way it leaves you place to grow. It leaves you room to grow. All right. If you are constantly using all 4 instruments, you don't really have a lot more variety you can add. But if you have finally like violin 1 or just a solo cello with a viola harmonizing above it, that gives you space to add more instruments. Or on the opposite, if you're using all 4, you can gradually have instruments fall out and just go down to a solo cello. Just keep in mind that the same way you don't use the entire orchestra all at the same time, you don't need to use all 4 instruments all at the same time. So, tip number 3. Since you are limited to just 3 unique instruments, your greatest strength, in variety will come from using different articulation types, performance techniques, textures, and registers. Use these to your advantage. All right, so we talked about that. But for example, like move the melody around to different octaves. Use a combination of multiple different types of articulations. So that's playing techniques. For example, a legato melody plus pizzicato bass line. All right, the same way that you would divide different layers of your music across various instruments in an orchestra, you can divide it across different articulations and playing techniques with a quartet to, again, create that variety. And so, let me pull up another idea. Again, from the class I've been teaching about like strings in class. This one coming from week 5. Where's my week 5? Where is it? I believe it was week 5. Where like my process for arranging. Here we go. Yep. So when arranging a new quartet, or any piece for that matter, I'm going to follow these steps. Step 1 is to identify your structure, the number and order of different themes you plan on using. All right. So, for example, like if you want to do like an AABA piece of music, all right, you've got 2 themes, a theme A and a theme B, and this is the order they appear in. All right. Whatever it is, finding your structure ahead of time is very important. So another way of finding structure is like if you write a music, if you're scoring a film, understanding which themes you need to use in a single scene and what order they need to appear in and when they need to appear. That's important. Structure. All right. The number and order of different themes you plan on using. Step number 2 is to sketch the themes you need. All right, so if you need 2 themes, like a theme A and a theme B, you're gonna want to sketch those themes. You're gonna have to make sure you have something to work with. Then copy, says paste them, or arrange them in the order you need for your structure. All right. Step number 3 is to map out the personality for each section. All right, basically, again, going back to the idea of an AABA theme, structure. Where do things get darker / brighter? When does the size need to increase / decrease? And when does the amount of movement need to increase / decrease? These are the 3 I recommend following. This is called valence, size, and energy. This is my model for emotions in music. If you can get these 3 across, you can portray any emotion you need or could ever want. So once you've mapped out, all right, section A, section B needs to get a little darker. It needs to get a bit bigger, and the movement needs to start picking up a little bit. All right, once you've got that idea, you can start sketching out your different sections / layers. All right. What layer is your foreground? So like a melody. All right. What techniques can you use to help create the personality / mood you want for your foreground? I actually have a list of ideas I like have printed on my desk here for like a piece I'm currently working on. Different strategies for like manipulating the mood of your like melody. Changing registers, changing instrumentation, additive versus subtractive accentuation, registral accentuation, coloristic accentuation, bookending, orchestral resonance, chordal textures, simplified heterophonic textures, rhythmic embellishments, flourishing embellishments. There's no shortage of strategies that you can have. If you want to learn more about those strategies, check out my textbook, The Musical Storyteller. Every single one of those and more are listed in here and taught in detail. But the idea is like you figure out what strategies you want to use. What layers do you need to include in the accompaniment to create the personality / mood you want? So things like chords, counter melodies, bass lines, etc. The whole point is you start describing the music you want to arrange, and then you start sketching it out. Anyone who's followed me around, this is a process I've used for a very long time. Let's see if I can pull up, for example, like by Concerto that I'm working on. This is the sketch, the early sketch. And I am currently, so you can see the entire thing laid out section for section. Got my different melodies, my different ideas. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to start adding other layers. Like, all right, I want a better bass line. I want a counter melody for this section. I want some rhythmic chords, stuff like that. And so, yeah, the idea that you sketch your idea, and from there you can start actually orchestrating it. So step 6 is start orchestrating. So that's selecting the actual instruments you need. Which ones are going to play which part, etc., etc. Now, the last thing I'm going to give you, a guiding principle. So you would use the same process for writing your string quartet and mapping it out. Guiding principle for experimenting with different instrumental ideas. All right. Anytime you are trying, so I'm not going to type this part out. So anytime you want to try something weird, anytime you're trying something unique, and it's something like you want your cello. Your cello is going to play a melody and it's higher than violin 1. And you're asking yourself, is this allowed? Anytime you're asking yourself, am I allowed to do this with my music? I'm going to give you 2 guidelines. This is how you figure out if you're allowed to do something. Rule number 1 is the instrument or instruments physically capable of performing the part you've written. This is why instrumentation is important to study. And this is why I have a free class on the Academy about instrumentation. So you can figure out, is the part I've written physically possible? So I want my cello to play a melody higher than the violin. All right, first off, is the cello physically capable of playing the melody? Yes, it is. Is the violin 1 physically capable of playing the part that's lower? Yes, it is. Good. All right. Number 1, we're good. So now we can ask question number 2. Does performing that part result in a sound you think could be cool or interesting? All right. So you found out, yes, this is weird. My cello is playing a melody higher than my violin, but I found out my cello is physically capable of playing that melody. My violin 1 is physically capable of playing the accompaniment. And I think it's cool. I think the lack of tension in the strings for the violin's lower register is going to really help give it a unique quality. And I think the tension in the cello's higher register is going to give that a really cool quality. I think the 2 of them together is going to create a really cool sound. If the answer is yes, do it. You have permission. You are welcome to do that. So again, anytime you have something weird, like I want the tuba to play a melody up high. Is the tuba physically capable of playing that high? Yes. Do I think it would be cool? Also yes. Do it. All right? That's literally, is it physically possible? And is it going to be cool? If so, go for it. That's all you need, and that's how you find permission to do weird stuff. Let's see here. Epic Fish. Recently, I tried to make a horror boss theme. While sketching the basic idea, I was trying to do different parameters except timbre. I was unable to achieve a feeling of terror or doom. It was like sounding only like some anxious situation, but when I tried to use timbre, free library with scary, violent articulations, it suddenly sounded like I wanted. So my question, why is timbre so much impactful on the feeling of the song? Hope my broken English is readable for you. I would say it probably isn't in general. Timbre is not super important for any emotion. It's very useful. I'd say the reason why it was so impactful for you was because you had a very specific sound in your head. You had a very specific sound that you wanted. You wanted to create a very, like a horror film. And for you, that involved using the scary strings. So it can be important for getting specific sounds. But timbre becomes important because of our predisposition. Timbre becomes important because you think sol ponticello. Because this sound. Oh, it doesn't have pitch shift. That's unfortunate. Because those kind of clusters and that scratchy performance technique, they're familiar. And so they are very powerful, but they aren't necessarily important. If you wanted to create like a scary boss music, there are ways around that. For example, adding some heavier low ends probably would have helped quite a bit. Adding some more booming percussion probably could have helped. There's a lot you could have done. But yeah, timbre is very powerful, but it's not necessarily the only thing necessary. All right, excellent. So that brings us, we're caught up. Any other questions? If not, I'll probably call it early. Because I do have plans after this. Thank you again to everyone who has donated so far. So if you are new, I am raising money for 3 free classes on the Academy. If you've never taken the Academy, check it out. Go to my website, Education Academy page. I have free classes on here. It's my answer to music school because I had to drop out of music school because it was too freaking expensive and that pissed me off. So I started making free classes. These free classes I've had on here since 2023. I keep getting asked to make more classes, but because I don't make money off these because it's completely free, and it's not something like making my book where it's like, yeah, I'm working for free now, but I know I'll make money on the back end. The class, I don't make money. I've had these up here for like 2023, and like I said, I think I've made maybe $7 in donations. I've gotten lots of emails from people saying that they love the courses and they're so grateful for them. And like I said, I'm not trying to make money off these classes. This is my passion project. But in order to make brand new classes, like I said, it takes about a month to make each class. And so I'm just trying to raise a month's worth of expenses to make sure, like, all right, good. I know I can pay my rent. I know I can pay my bills. I know I can pay all that kind of cool stuff. Make sure that I'm not gonna get evicted. I'm not gonna lose my money. I'm not gonna like be able to get like penalized on my student loans and all that kind of stuff. I can still eat. If I can raise my cost of living, I can dedicate a month of my time to making these classes. So there are recommended tiers, but also any donation helps. So thank you to everyone who's already donated. All right, I think that's it. Don't forget to like the stream. Any specific questions? Let's go kind of through some fun stuff. If there are any more questions, I will address them. Thank you very much. Are there any questions you guys have about music theory or anything? I will address them before signing off, but I think we're pretty much done for today. Are there any additional emotions you guys want to see? Because I've got all these kind of cool... these cool little like emotional chord combos that I've been working on. This was this week's. We did this week. think this is the next one. Euthymania, thank you everybody. Euthymania, what's your favorite accompanimental pattern for brass? Oh, I'm a sucker for fills. Like when the brass comes in, like with John Williams, they have like a rhythmic chord fill that they just throw in here and there. I love doing that kind of stuff. Thank you, Euthymania. Yes, these I've been doing these as short videos on YouTube and Instagram. Just different chord combos. And yes, little sneak peek. These are 3 harmony tricks for suspenseful music. Number 1 is a tritone. So what this is, it's 2 minor seconds with a third apart. And then I just take the bottom and I raise it an octave. Then we have a nice little CR here. It looks like a minor chord going into another minor chord, a minor third above. Very standard in Hollywood. And then, of course, the minor major 7th. For all your kind of spy thrillers and whatnot. Then we've got like a triumphant one. I still need to do an arrangement for the adventure one. But then we've got a dark. And then over here, I've just kind of been working on the interval series as well. Picking out intervals that have different emotions attached. And just kind of providing some cool little things like the perfect 4th and minor 6th for romantic music. Where is it? Cool stuff. Seamus, how does timbre impact perceived loudness? Like, will softer and warmer sounds appear more quieter compared to brighter timbres? Very good question. So, timbre does have an impact on perceived dynamics. Generally speaking, brighter sounds feel louder because brighter sounds contain more overtones, and so they carry further. So, for example, if I were to take a trumpet, let's find a trumpet. Do I have a brass one here? Let's just do trumpet. Let's remove this and add a trumpet in here. If I take the same volume, same exact volume, but I remove some of those. I play it softer. Same volume. I haven't changed the expression. I haven't changed this thing. I haven't changed anything. It's just the timbre. There might be a subtle shift in volume, but that rounder, less bright sound is perceived as less loud. And why is that? If we look at the oscilloscope, this is the softer pitch. Look at all those overtones. This is the louder one. Look at all those overtones. There's more activity. There's more to the sound. So yeah, brighter timbres will be perceived as louder. Softer timbres will be perceived as softer, even though they're not technically, like darker timbres will be perceived as softer, even though they're technically not necessarily one or the other. They're not necessarily louder, they'll just come off as louder. All right, and with that, I think we called it. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate all of you for stopping by the stream. Don't forget to please graciously consider donating to the fundraiser. Let's get those free classes out, available to more composers, more and more. Happy to help, Seamus. Thank you, everyone who stopped by. I am excited for next week's stream. Don't forget to like the stream. I will see you all next week. Enjoy your weekend. And please share the fundraiser. Share the academy. Even if you can't donate, participate in the classes. They're fun. All right? Participate in them. Share them with people that you think would be interested in participating and donating, whatever. Let's see if we can get those free classes up and running. Thank you very much, everybody. I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.